NewsX Sunday Garden Roundtable. Well, it seems as if the rhetoric for the 2019 elections has already begun, what with the temple talk gaining ground, and also we have a political manifesto that is masquerading as an interim budget. We saw the shenanigans between Mamata Banerjee and the central government recently. The Mahagathbandhan is taking shape. The BJP, of course, is saying that the narrative is really Modi versus the rest and the opposition doesn't have a chance. We also have regional parties who still haven't decided which side they're going to be on. To try and decode this rhetoric, I have joining me on the roundtable Mr. KTS Tulsi, he's a senior advocate, Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, BJP leader and Rajya Sabha member, Pinaki Mishra from the BJD, and Mr. Majid Menon from the NCP. Dr. Swamy, I've given you a Congress Mukht roundtable, first of all. So part of your dream is coming true. But what are the big ticket issues? You know, temple, I know you said think is going to play a big role, but beyond...
Yes, temple will play a big role at the emotion of the worker and the feeling of being let down by the Hindutva crowd, which has grown substantially in the last 10 years at least, and certainly even in the last 5 years. Most of the performances claimed we have to convince the people that yes, it has happened because when you go further down, the economy has been is not as good as I mean, I put it mildly because I'm all said and done a BJP man. So it's a lot of explaining to do, and they don't have people who can go around explaining, and certainly they would not like me to go around explaining because I'll say one side this and one side that. That you know, this won't be election campaign won't be right. But I would say that on corruption, there is recently amongst our workers a lot of enthusiasm. But we came out on 3 issues. Modi as a great Vikas man, and 2, this Hindutva, and 3rd is this Hindutva. It was really around one issue, Ram Mandir, and the other 3rd was anti-corruption. And Hindutva is you know, if there's no Ram temple before the polling, I don't think people are going to say, okay, give them another chance. Provided the Congress doesn't take an anti-Mandir stand. If the Congress takes an anti-Mandir stand, then of course we will say that, listen, we are pretty bad what we have done, but we are better than them. At least in your case, this is how I see it's very dicey. I don't agree that we can today predict accurately what's going to happen.
But this is basically the rhetoric is going to be temple versus...
no, the temple, if you don't by the time the polling of the filing of the candidates, if you haven't got moving on the temple or the Supreme Court hasn't given any order, then I don't think that we can raise the issue of temple except to say we'll do it in the next term.
Which is nothing. But Pinaki, when I was introducing you, I should have also added one thing, that your constituency is one where Prime Minister Modi is considering contesting from. So, you know, how long can the BJD keep sitting on the fence?
You know, we are waiting for an announcement as to whether the Prime Minister would like to come to fight from Puri. Some very pertinent questions, I think, will be asked of him. What has he done to Varanasi? Has Varanasi become Kyoto that he promised Varanasi would become? And you know, why is he leaving Varanasi? Or if he is not leaving Varanasi, why is he leaving one of his Gujarat constituencies? There are lots of seminal questions which will be posed. Just apropos what fell from Dr. Swamy on the temple issue, I'm not sure how much traction the temple issue has outside the North Indian 5 or 6 major states. Because in the east, for instance, I mean, you know, Orissa, for instance, the Ram temple has no traction at all because, you know, we are Jagannath Bhakts. It's a totally different cult there. The northeast, West Bengal again, you know, Ma Durga is their presiding deity. All through the south, Telangana, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, as Dr. Swamy would know, Karnataka, these areas, the temple really has no traction. So yes, for a limited number of states of UP, Bihar, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, I think the temple would be important. But now I don't know how Dr. Swamy is going to react to the fact that the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, which was really the mastermind of the temple, that they have now said that we don't want the temple right away.
He's been on good behavior, not mentioned it, but now I can see you're provoking him.
We've given a 4-month, moratorium for the temple now, so therefore temple ceases to be an issue in the election. So I think Prime Minister Modi will have to go back to Modi versus the rest. That's number one. And of course, his track record. So as Dr. Swami says, that's what the real question will be. Has his track record borne out his promises?
So it's Modi of 2014 versus Modi of 2019.
And really, track record really is finance. I mean, with great respect, it's the finance ministry has that, given people a chidin. That's about it. The rest is, India sort of trudges along or trundles along or rolls along on its own pace, as it were. It's the finance ministry over the last 5 years has it given people a chedin.
You're really provoking you a lot. He's named all your bugbears.
I can make a short before go to just this much. That, you may say it is North India, but remember that Indira Gandhi was defeated and Janata Party came to power because of North India, not because of the so-called educated South India. And second is the party workers. What enthusiasm! What happened to Vajpayee's India shining? That they had to lose so badly because our party workers were not enthused. These are 2 points that have to be kept in mind.
Mr. Menon, your take?
On Temple, my assessment is that apart from political party, the BJP or any other political party, the religious outfits which are too keen to have a splendid temple, RSS in particular, Mohan Bhagwat ji or Vishwa Hindu Parishad or other such organizations, they also, it seems, as on today, have already taken a decision that it would not be worthwhile to keep temple at the top before Lok Sabha elections, because temple issue has become so contentious and has also become rather a, I think, strong weapon in the hands of opposition against BJP. And BJP may have to suffer some setbacks if temple is discussed publicly, because from opposition I would say that way back 5 years ago in 2014, among your promises, one prominent promise was that you would have a splendid temple made, Ram Lala. But what was done in the last 5 years? Now, if the Hindu Vishwa Parishad, Mahasabha or RSS have lost their patience now, why have they lost their patience now? That's the question. I think people can understand this. They are losing patience because the term of their political representative is ending. And you have done nothing for the last 5 years. The matter remained pending in Supreme Court. Why now the applications are going expedite, take day-to-day hearing? Because of the Lok Sabha election. This is so very obvious. You can't hide this. You can't try to twist matters and believe that way. So it is the end of Modi's term where he was given overwhelming majority, so tremendous support in 2014 in anticipation that, well, we will have a temple. So therefore, if they have failed there, so this failure would not be exploited by the opposition. So put this issue of Ram temple in cold box now. That is what has been decided by RSS and VHP, etc.
But not Dr. Swami.
So as to bring, I'm not talking about personally, Dr. Swami may have his personal opinion and he is frank enough even to express his esteemed views, even if it goes against BJP. I must admire him for that. That's a different story. So I'm not talking about an individual. I'm talking about the scenario today.
Right.
Now see, just now our friend BJD Pinaki ji said that Modi ji himself is thinking of contesting from Puri. Well, this is a very important development. Why is he getting out of Uttar Pradesh?
No, Varanasi +1. He always contests 2 seats.
So that
show
means
his pan-India appeal or whatever the logic.
Can you say that the Prime Minister, who is at the helm of all this power, you see, is himself doubtful about winning in Varanasi? Why does he go to Puri again?
You and I can say it. I don't know whether the BJP will say it.
You see, why does a leader contest from more than 1 seat? Not because that he will hold both the seats. He has to ultimately, if he wins both seats, he has to give up one. So why should he? You see, in 2014, I can understand. He contested from 2 seats or 3 seats because he was not very sure. Today, he is an acknowledged leader of such a huge party which is claiming to have done great, advantageous things to the nation. Why then he is hesitant about confining to one constituency and winning hands down?
Okay.
Now this is because UP is slipping out. And I'm afraid that if a very strong candidate is put up in Varanasi, our Prime Minister may have to face defeat.
Wow, that's Mr. Tulsi, I didn't say you don't belong to any political party, but your sympathies are more towards the Congress than your friend Dr. Swami's party, I suspect. So, how do you see that Modi is losing is not on a strong wicket? And did the mandate for 2014, was it a mandate for the temple? Or was it a mandate for a development?
See, I think that the key issue in the forthcoming elections is jobs. The data has deliberately been frozen and they're not letting it go. 2 members have resigned as a result of that. The report is still not public, although it has been published in the media, having accessed it. And according to the first official survey after demonetization, the joblessness and unemployment rate is the highest since 1972-73. There are 2 crore people who are jobless at the moment, and 2 crore jobs every year were supposed to be produced by this government.
And do you buy your own government's logic in saying that we have created jobs? Mudra loans have also created jobs.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, if you look at the disaggregated labor employment, which have been done by research institutes, not our CSO, the Central Statistical Organization, you find the major fall in employment and the rise in unemployment is being in the small and medium industries.
Correct. Huh.
Yeah. And that was not only due to demonetization, but the foolish policy of raising interest rates to control inflation, which is a policy a rigid policy of a hand-picked expert for the Reserve Bank by our finance ministry, and that is Mr. Raghuram Rajan. And I had to put up a real fight to convince people that this policy will destroy us, because 60% of our employment comes from small and medium industries. Yeah. So high interest rates, and then of course the very bad timing in the bringing of the demonetization, especially in the cropping season, when people go and either sell their product or buy seeds and things like that for which they need cash. They didn't have cash.
And the implementation.
That's right, implementation. That's right. That's what I only mean implementation. Yeah. Actually, demonetization, I was in favor in 2014 when I was chairman of the Strategic Action Committee for the party. So now the important question is this factor going to be the deciding factor for the vote?
Yes.
And there I would say that if you go to Bangalore, there's a big demand for software experts now, because America is shutting down on visas and making their life so uncertain. So there are a lot of people now staying in India. So there are sectors where there is a big demand for employment. Now the middle class, in my opinion, is not going to vote on this issue. But middle class is not that big, that also I agree. But at the same time, I'll say that as a general rule, economic issues have not played a decisive role in the outcome of an election. It's an emotional issue, and that we have to identify.
Priya, I must just add to what Tulsi ji said. You see, please look at people. Definitely, some educated people are trying to assess the performance of the government without political bias. I am from the opposition, I would find fault everywhere.
Correct.
But I am talking of an individual who is not concerned with either BJP or with Congress or any party. An intellectual and educated person, if they assess the whole situation, from May 2014 till November 2016 is one part. November 2016 till April 2019 is second part. Now look at that point when demonetization took place. And the promise, as he rightly pointed out, at the time of election, seeking votes at 2014, 2 crore jobs would be generated per year.
Oh, yeah.
10 crore jobs should have come by now. So many units had to be closed down.
Correct.
And I tell you, big unit is just one unit, one big giant. But small units are thousands of units. So if thousands of units start discarding 500, 200, 80, 70, 50 employees because they can't afford.
Yeah.
You see, as a fallout of demonetization, not direct or indirect or whatever it be, then number of disemployed people, far from creating job, existing jobs have dwindled, and therefore job seekers are growing, and job opportunity is dwindling,
So
you can
it's
imagine what
adds
is
to
the
chaos.
plight of the people.
I'm going to take a break and come back.
I'll
just take a break and I'll come back, and I'm going to also get Pinaki into the conversation. And something what Dr. Swami said, that elections are won on emotional issues rather than economic. I think let's dwell a bit more on that. So after a break. Hello and welcome back to the NewsX Sunday Guardian Roundtable. We are here discussing the road ahead to 2019 elections.
Now see, issues Mr. Tulsi pointed out about this jobs, but I must tell you yet another more important issue which we'll all have to address other than temple is the onslaught on constitutional institutions.
We just had
This is one after the other. I can argue for half an hour and convince you that from where do we begin? Reserve Bank, Supreme Court, CBI, everywhere. Last is Statistical Commission.
Okay.
Everything is destroyed.
Just want to buttress what all the eminent panelists have said on jobs. I don't know how many people know, but in UP, thanks to the Mahakumbh, 400 major industries in the Ganges belt have been asked to shut down for 4 months, ostensibly to give people clean bathing water, without understanding that 85% of the pollution of the Ganges comes from domestic sewage. The sewage which is spewed into the Ganges is the essence of the problem. Industry has by and large cleaned up its act, but lakhs of people now are without jobs simply because of a short-sighted policy that no, we must shut down industry because the Ganga is getting polluted by industry. To top that, there is a massive crisis in the cane sector because sugar mills are unable to pay. So, I mean, there's a ripple effect everywhere. Forget the fact that the leather and the tannery industry is virtually shut down completely in North India, thanks to, you know, the sort of politics with regard to cows that's happening. So, as a result, the cascading effect of lakhs of people being without basic employment, basic, jobs, their basic vocation, it's stark. And that's what I'm surprised that the government is not able to see that. And the government instead talks about some few thousand jobs created by India skilling, few thousand jobs by Mudra. These are not jobs which are being created at all. Jobs, as Dr. Swami rightly said, 65% of the jobs are in the medium and small scale industries, and you've ensured by your completely ham-handed policies that you're shutting them down.
So then what is that emotional issue, Dr. Swami? Because you're failing on the economic parameters, the social parameters also.
Well, first of all, addressing some of the important points raised by Memon. The problem for the opposition would be that when it comes to closing down of institutions, the emergency has always been a benchmark. And
but for the generation post 75, they are seeing this as the benchmark. The first
Somebody's
time
father
voter.
had been in jail. I mean, I have 2 daughters. They barely saw the emergency, but they remember it much more than, and remember very strongly. And this is one aspect. I'm not saying that it can't be made an issue. It's certainly a lovely international issue. The whole world is wanting to hear this. And it will be a popular media issue. So, there are some advantages that. But I don't think in terms of votes, it's going to be a big issue. Second is the economy, where our leadership has been misled, is what he obliquely said, is thinking that microeconomics is what is really economics. Microeconomics is not economics. It's this Ujwala that I gave cylinder gas instead of
LPG.
Dr. Swami, is there any empirical evidence as to how many ladies have gone back for a second cylinder? Believe you me, I know for my constituency and for Orissa, I think not more than 5% have gone back because they all thought it was going to be free for life. That was the impression they were given was that this is a free scheme for life. They got the first one free, and then when they had to go and buy the second one at 800 rupees to 1,000 rupees, so they've been aghast. So they've all gone back to the traditional cooking method. So this is all on paper.
They can't afford this cylinder.
This is all on paper, Dr. Swami.
And I've noticed MPs from Orissa are study the Ujwala scheme very well because the petroleum ministers from there.
And even
all the BJD MPs have the statistics on the fingertips.
Even the claim of the Honorable Prime Minister that we have got crores of accounts opened with zero balance. Even today the balance is zero there.
I have a very interesting...
No, just the last point. I would therefore say they have articulate spokesmen in the opposition like him who will come out with these numbers and stump you, etc. But in the end, it's going to be the emotion. Would you trust to rule this government? Has the trust of Modi gone down? And if so, how much? Because today it's difficult to know because what I see as surveys being published in your media, I'm now confident that you have done a independent job.
But Dr. Swami, I'll ask you one question if she permits. That look, in the democracy, it is not dictatorship. We don't want one man who is powerful. Now show me in BJP who is other than Mr. Modi.
But I want to say there is another emotional issue. And the emotional issue, I don't think people have been feeling so insecure, even during the emergency. The manner in which lynchings are taking place. And the difference is that there is recording, audiovisual recording of the event which creates such a terror in the entire society. Minorities are extremely feeling unsafe.
So that's an emotional issue that will work against you.
See,
Well, I have an answer to that.
And there
place
is-
in India. You see, first of Dadri, Akhlaq, and thereafter a dozen instances.
25 out of 29 persons killed in lynchings were Muslims.
Sir, this one second Muslim was lynched. I received telephone calls from UK as well as from USA. Some of our barristers and some very eminent jurists from United Kingdom, United States.
And the next category,
they asked
12% are Dalits.
No, I must get 3 times the time.
Okay.
Sir, 1 minute.
Answer all your questions, sir.
1 minute.
Let him answer.
3 against 1.
Tulsi ji, 1 minute.
I'm giving the last word.
They asked me that a case of lynching had occurred, which we had come to know through media. But then it is recurring. It happened again. So what is your answer for that?
Okay.
What answer could we become a laughing
First of all, let me answer that in this. I would say that when you talk about minorities and they're getting upset, so on, and including Dalits, you have to go a little more by breakdowns. It is our belief and it is our surveys which say that about 60% of the Muslim women are voting for us because of triple talaq. And we had some taste of it in the UP Assembly election. The Shias are, according to me, 90% going to vote for us. So in the Muslim community also, ultimately, I think the Sunnis will end up with 70% of the I think the remaining 30% is going to vote for us. There's a division
This
in
is
that.
wrong information. Mr. Swami, I must tell you that Muslim women are not happy with your legislation.
Well, so
You
we'll
have
find
a
out.
wrong impression.
Well,
Absolutely.
no, I don't know wrong impression. We are basing it on our.
Yeah, we will see now.
Okay, so
Look,
both are tabled, both the sentiments.
So,
Next.
Second,
Dalits.
when it comes to Dalits, except for the radical elements in the Dalits, there is no such anti-feeling amongst the general Dalits, because we have also got a large number of Dalit MPs. And we have separate meetings for them. We tell them, tell us frankly. And there are ministers who are Dalits in our government.
But they are all very concerned.
No, they're concerned about that law which was
10%.
which the Supreme Court. No, the Supreme Court thing. You see.
But that they should be happy with because you
Yeah,
upheld
that's
it.
right. We
You
in
upheld the Supreme Court.
the 10% had to be done because the upper
upper
caste
caste
was
was
unhappy
unhappy.
with
Both
that.
Ramvilas Paswan and Ramdas Athavale have publicly criticized the government
But they haven't left.
for failing to check against that
All
Supreme
right, they
Court
said
dilution.
so, but they haven't left. No,
Which is
No,
the
they have
hearing.
not left.
Okay.
no.
So if they have left, means you are left without Dalits now.
He's saying they're still there. So
But a
that's
very prominent Dalit MP has left the BJP from UP, Puleji. She's a very prominent
Dr. Swami,
Dalit MP.
I will just need 1 minute to tell you about triple talaq.
But we're totally out of time, so that I will call you for another.
One
Acha.
question only I am asking you. Is a Muslim woman happy if her erring husband orally pronounces triple talaq, which has no effect in law? She knows that the Supreme Court stands by her, even with the least education, or her brother or somebody tells her, this is no talaq. You continue to be his wife and he continues to be your husband.
But we had to bring the law.
1 minute, just 1 minute. Now, then marriage continues and still I would send him to jail. Why should I go to police station and send him to jail? when he is my husband, continuing to be my husband. And number two, all your false promises of getting that woman, minor custody and maintenance is rubbish. I'll tell you, I had to speak. Unfortunately, the opportunity never came in Rajya Sabha.
You need another show for this.
Yeah, the opportunity is also very limited here. So I will.
You see, if the matrimonial relationship continues and if the woman continues to stay put in her husband's house, where is the question of separate maintenance?
For that,
and
I'm
how
going to
can
call
she
him
ask for
back for another
maintenance
show, Mr.
from a
Mehta.
man who is in jail?
Okay.
I have an in-house Muslim family which tells me the truth about Muslims.
Let's not forget his son-in-law's
yes.
On that note, I think he has the last word on that. Mr.
Why you don't send it to select committee? We will give our views, feedback.
Okay, on that note, I think let's give Dr. Swami the last word on that. But as you can see, there's going to be a whole lot more of this happening and hopefully on the roundtable as well. So stay with us. But for now, this is all we have for you this week. Thank you for watching this show. We'll see you again same time next week.